The NFL offseason always brings with it a whirlwind of drama, deals, and emotional moments. But few stories have caught fans off guard quite like this one. Quarterback Dak Prescott, the face of the Dallas Cowboys, and a leader both on and off the field, recently went viral for sending a passionate four-word message to his former teammate, a message that has fans talking, analysts speculating, and emotions running high. The moment came shortly after Easton Stick, the longtime backup quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers, signed a new one-year deal worth $6 million to stay in L.A. But what caught everyone's attention wasn't just the money or the surprising nature of the deal. It was what Prescott did next. As soon as the news broke, Dak sent a heartfelt message to Stick that quickly made waves across social media and sports news outlets alike. The message? Simply put, proud of you, bro. Just 4 words. But coming from Dak Prescott, those words meant everything. They weren't just empty praise or a polite gesture. They came loaded with meaning, with a history shared between two men who know what it's like to grind in the shadows, to face adversity, and to fight for every inch of recognition in a league that often overlooks the quiet workers behind the stars. For those who might be unfamiliar, Easton Stick's journey in the NFL hasn't exactly been filled with headlines or highlight reels. A 5th-round pick out of North Dakota State in 2019, Stick spent most of his career in the background, working behind the scenes while big-name quarterbacks like Justin Herbert dominated the spotlight. But inside the locker rooms, among the coaching staff, and especially among his peers, Stick earned something far more valuable than fame. He earned respect. And Dak Prescott knows all about that kind of journey. Coming into the league as a 4th-round pick himself in 2016, Prescott wasn't expected to be the star he is today. He was thrust into the spotlight after Tony Romo went down with an injury, and the rest, as they say, is history. But that journey from backup to starter, from overlooked to franchise cornerstone, is something that leaves a lasting mark. It teaches humility. It teaches perseverance. And most of all, it teaches you to appreciate the grind, not just your own, but that of every man in the locker room doing the same thing. So when Easton Stick signed that $6 million deal, a massive payday for a player who spent so much of his time as a backup, it wasn't just a win for Stick. It was a win for every underdog in the league. And Dak Prescott, who's never forgotten where he came from, made sure to let Stick know that he saw it, that he was proud, that the grind hadn't gone unnoticed. Proud of you, bro. 4 words that packed a punch far beyond what most casual fans might understand. The message was shared across social media platforms like wildfire. Fans praised Dak for his class, his humility, and his brotherhood. Teammates and former players chimed in with their own congratulations for Stick. Analysts began debating what the Chargers' move meant for their quarterback room, especially with Justin Herbert, still clearly their franchise QB. And yet, through all the noise, that simple message from Dak Prescott stood out. It was a reminder of what the NFL is really about. Yes, it's about talent. Yes, it's about performance. But at its core, football is a brotherhood. And in a league where careers can be over in a blink and loyalty is often scarce, seeing one player lift another up, especially across team lines, is something truly special. The significance of the deal itself also shouldn't be overlooked. $6 million for a backup quarterback who's only started 1 game in his career might sound like a head-scratcher to some. But for the Chargers, it's a strategic move. Stick has been in their system for years. He knows the playbook. He knows the personnel. And more importantly, he's earned the trust of the coaching staff. With Herbert coming off injuries and the team needing depth and stability at the position, re-signing Stick was a smart, calculated decision. But again, it's not just about numbers or depth charts. It's about the journey. Easton Stick has waited patiently for his chance. He's done the work without fanfare, supported his teammates without ego, and now he's finally being rewarded. And Dak Prescott, despite being on a completely different team in a completely different conference, recognized that. What makes Prescott's message even more meaningful is that it wasn't required. He didn't have to say anything. He wasn't Stick's teammate. He didn't stand to gain anything from sending that message. But he did it anyway, because that's who Dak is. Over the years, Prescott has built a reputation not just as a great quarterback, but as a great leader. He's known for uplifting his teammates, for staying grounded, and for never forgetting the people who helped him along the way. His message to Easton Stick was just another example of that leadership in action, subtle, sincere, and powerful. For Cowboys fans, the moment also served as a poignant reminder of why they love Dak so much. In a league that's often defined by diva behavior and me-first attitudes, Dak has always been a breath of fresh air. He leads with grace. He speaks with purpose. And he acts with integrity. Some fans even began speculating that there might be more history between Stick and Prescott than the public knows, perhaps shared training camps, off-season workouts, or mutual friends in the league. Others simply chalked it up to professional respect between two quarterbacks who understand the unique pressures and challenges of the position. Whatever the case may be, the moment struck a chord. It reminded fans of the humanity behind the helmets. That these players aren't just stats on a fantasy football team, they're real people with real struggles, real triumphs, and real connections. And it's not just fans who noticed. Inside the Chargers locker room, Stick Steal and the response to it have reportedly boosted morale. Players are happy to see one of their own rewarded. Coaches are confident in their quarterback depth. And everyone is taking note of the respect their backup QB is getting from around the league. As for Easton Stick himself, he stayed humble, as always. In a brief media appearance following the announcement of his deal, Stick expressed gratitude to the Chargers organization, to his teammates, and to everyone who supported him along the way. When asked about Prescott's message, he smiled and said, "Dak's one of the good ones." That meant a lot coming from him. It's the kind of story that doesn't always get told in the world of sports media, where trades, scandals, and stats usually dominate the headlines. But it's exactly the kind of story that fans need. A story about perseverance. A story about loyalty. A story about brotherhood. And make no mistake, this one moment, this one message will stay with both men. For Easton Stick, it's a validation of years of hard work finally paying off. It's a signal that even when the cameras weren't rolling, even when the fans weren't cheering, someone was watching. Someone noticed. Someone respected the grind. For Dak Prescott, it's another example of the leader he's always been, someone who doesn't just lead with words, but with actions. Someone who understands that greatness isn't just measured